Heritage Upholstery BJ7 Upholstery Kit. We're going to look at this in some detail. We're very proud of our offering for the BJ7. Has a lot of unique features that the other Healeys don't have. We'll start by looking at some of the panels within the car. We're looking here at the center of the door. It's an aluminum panel that has the stitch lines going across. Now this is one of the only panels that we do not reproduce. In fact, it is the only panel that we don't reproduce. This dimple, for want of a better word, around the escutcheons is specialized tooling. We've yet, in the 20 years we've been making these kits, yet to come across an original car that is missing these aluminum panels. So because of that expensive tooling that was required to reproduce these, we didn't do it, and subsequently it is the only panel in the whole Healey range that we do not reproduce. But you send us your old ones, we clean them up, trim them, send them back to you fully upholstered, ready to go. That's how they look right there. We'll look here at the outer door panels. These are reproduced by us and supplied within the kit. They are cut on our 3D routing machine. We upgrade the panel itself to mahogany hardwood ply, as you can see. You see the attention to detail. Our panels look as beautiful on the back as they do on the front. Has the reinforcing piece as it was originally, glued and stapled for longevity, and again, brand new door panels supplied there to go with the center section aluminum panels. At this point, I want to just talk generally about our products for the Healeys, and in this particular case, BJ7. We supply all brand new, fully upholstered panels to replace all the originals, and we're going to be looking at these now as I move down the table. So if it's a panel, it's supplied as a brand new panel. If it's a cover that gets glued on the car, it's supplied cut and in a labeled bag that allows you to know what the piece is. Now this is a simple rectangle that fits behind the passenger side kick panel. So in other words, it fits there, glued onto the car, and that will be supplied within this bag. And you can see the kick panel here has the flap at the front leading edge to glue onto the body as original. The sewn cover for the underdash is supplied within our kit. Now, I'm showing you the upholstery kit here for the BJ7, but I'm also showing some pieces that are worked by us at our shop here as shop labor. On the BJ7s, we get this underdash tray sent to us. Of course, the aluminum panels. Now, the aluminum door panels, there's no charge for us to recover these. That's part of the Perfectionist panel kit for the center sections. We have flat guaranteed rates, so you know where you're at with costs as far as the services we provide for the underdash and the seats and so on. So this particular customer, like many, has chosen not only to buy the upholstery kit from us, but to have us install those things that we can do on the bench, and they can be sent easily UPS to us from across the country, in fact from around the world. So on the BJ7s, we have the underdash tray, the rear seat that we'll look at, the tractor seats and the backrest, and the front seats, of course, and also the difficult to recover dash fascia. So we'll look at a couple of these things. Again, in a kit that just goes out with no labor, we send this piece sewn, ready for you or your installer to install. But it is a tricky piece to do well, and that's why people send us that piece so we can cover it here. We'll move over here to the BJ7 rear seat backrest assembly. If the wood component is in good condition, we can certainly reuse it. They seldom are. We reproduce this in-house exactly as original. and with the birch ply. This is a brand new one. This isn't finished yet. We're waiting for the hinge components before this gets finished and pulled. It's normal for the pleats to have pucker in when they're not when it's not installed, but as you can see, with a gentle pull, that disappears, and it comes looking, when it's finished, it looks like that pleat there. So that needs some finishing. This is the rear quarter panel. We're very proud of this piece. This is seldom included in our competitors' kits. We supply it as a brand new, fully upholstered panel. It has the brand new steel at the front leading edge that we cut on our 3D routing machine, and is exact replica of the original. The panel board here we use upgrade to a high quality waterproof automotive board, and of course the back portion of the panel is not really seen, and it has the correct pattern in the front, and again glued to the steel up here as original. And of course the BJ7s were a plain panel without the dielectric heat welding that you see on the BJ8s. So that shows that. Again, if you purchased our Perfectionist panel kit, you would receive a rectangle of vinyl to cover your dash fascia, but this is a tricky one to do, and that's why it's commonly sent to us. We have again a rate card that shows our shop services for the BJ7 that we include with our quotes. The aluminum panel, the aluminum is glass beaded and cleaned, straightened, and any imperfections are dealt with. The vinyl then is professionally installed by one of our top guys here. This is the difficult thing to do. We do not cut the big holes. We don't cut any of the holes. There are sometimes holes that are put in these that are not original, and we had so much trouble with which ones are staying and which ones are going. We leave that for the customer. It's very straightforward. You just take a blade and just flush cut around these holes. The ones that you need, you use. The other ones, they just stay flapped over, and anything that's non-original then gets to be hidden. But you can see how difficult this is to cover, to get around these irregular shapes, and our guys do a beautiful job there. So that's the dash fascia. We'll take a look at the upper dash pad in another episode. Likewise, the upper door cappings for the BJ7s, color matched. This is a brand new upper door capping. The customer chose to buy our brand new capping, which is the steel, the foam, and in the kit itself you would get a rectangle to recover your old, although it is a very difficult thing to recover, and if yours is in good shape, you can send it to us, we can recover it, and if not, we sell you these brand new pieces that we reproduce. We make the steels, the pad, and can send it out fully upholstered this way. Here's the little armrest that goes in between the seats with the correct top stitch in. This we supply this way. It's not attached to the carpet set. It wasn't done that way at the factory. It was installed. The carpet set essentially has to be installed in the car because it varies in position based on the installer and the snaps and so on. Once that's in position, we recommend that this piece then gets glued onto the carpet, and someone stands behind to line up the pleats to make sure it's on straight, and let the glue dry. Then you can send it back to us or take it into your local upholstery shop, and they just put a stitch right here through the carpet. That's how we do it. So we offer that service. You have to glue it and fit it on the car yourself, and then send it back to us, and that way there's no mistake of it being crooked. Does that make sense? I'm sure it does. So that's how we deal with that. The Perfectionist panel kit included, like I said, all those panels that we looked at. But most importantly, it's the small things in our heritage upholstery kit and the details of the small things that really separate us from the pack. Here's some components here. If it's a cover, for instance, that's glued, this is the cover that goes behind the handbrake. It's supplied, D-shaped oval slot. This gets glued on, and that comes in its own separate bag. Well, there's the label here. It's actually included, I believe, in this grouping, and you can see how detailed. 20 inch by 20 inch. That's this big square here. This is the ambler to cover the center shift dome that rises up in the center of the gearbox. A very small amount of this is visible at the end. A strip that's essentially 1 inch, or a little bit bigger than 1 inch, but start off with a big piece of vinyl. It's a difficult, irregular thing to trim, and you need a big piece of vinyl to start off with so you can have something to pull against, and so we're generous with our sizing of any of the pieces that are required. 2.5 inches by 60 inches, the vinyl to cover the seat frames. That's the angle iron frames. The vinyl behind the A-post, which we looked at earlier. Vinyl to cover transmission tunnel behind handbrake. 3 inch by 30 inch for front lip of gearbox housing, and 7.5 by 32 for the door cappings. Again, 7.5, that's quite a generous size. They're finished much smaller than that, but again, we don't skimp with the quantity or sizes of the components that are needed to do a good job. This is the B-post piping that goes on that aluminum panel that finishes at the lock plate there. We supply that. Again, everything comes in its own bag, labeled. There's the shut face piping, black. There's a snap-on for the bottom of the door, the bottom of the dash fascia. It's a U-shaped moquette covered snap-on that's included. There we see the underdash parcel tray that we looked at earlier. And so this, with this labeling, it allows you or your installer to know exactly what's in the bag, and with that, essentially where it goes, and that helps guide the installer through the components. We also, it's handy for us because we know that the fact that the label isn't there means that it's packed and and of course it has a final inspection with the shipping department. That they use this list here to check off all the items, highlight each piece as it's checked into the box. This is our build sheet for within house. So that's a pretty good overview there of the BJ7, and we'll look at the seats and some of the other components in another episode.